is a special edition of WeatherScope.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of WeatherScope here in the Forecast Center. I'm Jeff Morrow. We've been keeping you updated on this latest nor'easter, which has really been slamming parts of the mid-Atlantic coast and even southern New England as we've headed on through this evening with some very high winds, high surf, and the threat of coastal flooding and some beach erosion. Farther on to the west, we'll touch on some record-setting snows in the Ohio Valley. So this has been quite a storm once again, the second one in a little over a week's time. We can see it very clearly on the satellite perspective, and as it goes into motion, there is the low center. You can see the spiraling nature counterclockwise around the low, well out to sea. But again, it's the difference in pressure between that low and a high way up here to the north, which is helping to cause the very strong winds, particularly into southern New England. Now, the good news here is things are starting to quiet down. You can basically see that the enhanced cloud cover, or the bluish shaded clouds there, have really started to back off a little bit. Not so out here in the Ohio Valley. Still some fairly hefty snow near Louisville and Lexington and Cincinnati, record snows. We'll talk more about that in a moment. Did want to mention that the marine warnings, or the storm warnings, still up from Watch Hill, Rhode Island to Chatham, Massachusetts. We are starting to see a little bit of a trimming back of some of these advisories, again, as the winds are starting to go down. And the coastal flood advisories as well are starting to be trimmed back a little bit as well. Again, the winds starting to subside, but particularly up here to the north, we're still getting some fairly gusty winds into New England, and still some gusty winds along the coast of New Jersey. We have live team coverage with two different crews, one in Seabright, New Jersey, and one all the way down in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And we're going to start in Seabright, New Jersey, where Lori Gearys is standing by. And, well, you've weathered the storm. Fortunately, things are getting better. Right, Lori?
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. What a difference a few hours can make. The floodwaters continue to recede. Temperatures right now are at 34 degrees, but the wind chill is making it feel more like 13. It felt a lot worse earlier today, though, and it looked a lot worse. Folks were still trying to do their job just like normal, but you can see just how high the water got. Locals here used whatever type of transportation they could to get through the water. A boat was really just about the best mode on these side roads near the Shrewsbury River. Water levels got up to about 4 feet. Right now we're dealing with winds gusting up to about 25 miles per hour. The rain has just about stopped, and the sun is even expected to make a showing tomorrow, and of course that will be a welcome sight here in Seabright, New Jersey. We're going to take it now to Virginia Beach, where Mike Seidel is standing by. Mike, what's it like down there?
Well, the same thing goes here, Lori, in Virginia Beach tonight. The weather is improving. The seas are backing off here along the beachfront in Virginia Beach tonight. We're at 16th Street, where we've been for several days now. And I can tell you, tonight versus last night, it's like a whole different world. Winds tonight are north at about 15 to 20. Last night, they were gusting up to 60 from the northeast. The worst tide was this morning along the Atlantic coastline. Tides running about 5 feet above average. And this is the what we saw this morning after sunrise. The Sandbridge area, some of the roads underwater, some of the roads damaged, asphalt getting picked up. In fact, they're going to meet tomorrow to see if they'll allow more than just the residents to return. Right now, Sandbridge is open to only residents. You can see the homes up on the stilts. And that home right there, you see, came down in last week's nor'easter. 2 homes came down. They condemned 36 homes last week, and they're going to be meeting tomorrow and checking out additional homes. More homes may be condemned. Now, we have good news to report from the high tide we had this afternoon, late this afternoon. No additional homes were condemned as far as we know, except over in the Chesapeake Beach area where they condemned 6 homes. That's because of possible structural damage. Tonight, the seas are backing off. We're not overly concerned about the next tide early tomorrow morning. And once again, the rain is over with. A vast improvement from this time last night, and this area really took it hard. 5 to 7 inches of rain, and that really was the big problem in the Virginia Beach area last night. A lot of street flooding, a lot of neighborhood flooding, but now the water has finally receded in most areas. Jeff, back to you.
All right, thanks, Mike, and we'll be checking back with you in about a half hour or so, get another update on what is going on in and around the Tidewater area. Very destructive nor'easter once again. All right, joining me now here in the Forecast Center, senior meteorologist Colin Marquis. I guess the storm is starting to wind down as far as the coastal area is concerned. We're seeing a dropping of some of the coastal flood warnings and things like that. However, southeast New England will probably be the last area that will be dying down.
That's right. They're closest to the low pressure, which is pretty far offshore, but they are closest to the center of low pressure. probably a few more hours of winds 40 to 50 miles an hour from the Cape Cod area up to the south shore of Boston, and then after midnight we'll see a slackening of those winds.
That's right. We've been talking to Kristen Dodd up there in Scituate, Massachusetts, and earlier this evening, just amazing shots of the sea coming up over where she was located and drenching her, but fortunately things have quieted down. Here is a look at a radar. I've closed in on this radar, and it does look like the coverage of this precipitation is diminishing a bit and maybe sinking a bit farther to the south now.
It sure is. We're seeing a diminishing of the radar echoes. Basically no precipitation falling north and west of Boston, but there are icy roads up in here, and temperatures are at or slightly below freezing, so there will be slick spots on the roadways. Temperatures will be falling overnight down toward New York City. They're about 36, 37 degrees now, but we may see some slick spots down there toward morning as well.
All right, let's switch gears and talk about our big snowstorm a little bit farther on to the west. And again, Cincinnati leading the list with a record snow.
Yeah, the latest information we had from the Wilmington office is Cincinnati now has 17.7 inches of snow. That does break their single storm record, and Louisville also
Tonight's game, the Flyers leading Phoenix.